This podcast is not affiliated with any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous antics and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own. Should be dismissed immediately.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to episode 60.
Ooh.
60.
Something looks different here. It's like,
it's
like, I don't know. I can't put my finger on what's different here.
If you're listening, then I guess just tune out for the next few seconds. If you're watching on YouTube
if
or
you
Spotify,
haven't tuned out already,
yeah. We are in our new studio space.
Mm-hmm.
And behind us, we have this is our artifact of the week. We'll start the show with that. This is I don't know, you can only see about half of it, but it is the visual representation of a flight of winding stairs consisting of 3, 5, and 7 steps.
It's the artifact of the week.
Yeah. It's very special.
you need to get some music that goes with that.
Gotta do like Second City TV.
We have some antique Masonic music over there, but it's on tapes.
Yeah. Hold on. Antique Masonic music.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Is this like a genre thing? Is it are we talking
No,
about
it's
with the ritual? Or?
It's degree music.
The music that goes along with the slides for degree work. We even have the projector and the
slides for it.
The slides, but what is the film?
Is it like when we were kids where the slides would go and beep and you'd have to change the slide?
No, it's an actual projector. I don't remember what lodge it was from.
Film strips.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but
Today we're
it's
going
got
to
the little
talk
projector
about
you had this projector in lodge, and it's got the celluloid film strips and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Okay.
Did you ever see the glass ones?
No,
I've got a set of glass slides.
that's why we put the old guys on that side, on that couch.
They used to go through something called a magic lantern, which you can't use anymore in a couple of jurisdictions. But
Did we light a couple lodges on fire?
they didn't like the way the slides were.
Mm.
But I've got a box of them in my house, and then I found some at the Scottish Rite.
Nice.
Wait a minute. Before we go any further, there's a voice on here that's not usually on here, so maybe we need to have him make an introduction.
Heath, introduce yourself. Oh, wait.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. I'm David Greenberg. I'm the General Secretary for the Scottish Rite, Valley of Omaha, which is in the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite and the Orient of Nebraska.
Hell yeah, brother.
Very cool.
Whiskey. Bear.
Wow. We're off the rails
Bring
already.
a little Stone Cold reference in there.
Yeah. Well, very cool.
Since there's 3 of us that are bald here.
I'm not.
I got married and my hair started falling out, and then I had kids and it started jumping out, and then I had this Friar Tuck thing going on in the back of my head when I'd get pictures. I'm like, who am I fooling? So I just went in there and wife and kids came in there like, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm like, done.
Yep, never look back.
Yep, not paying for haircuts anymore.
Anywho, this is a 100 and some year old hand-painted canvas that I wish I knew the number of how many Masons have taken the journey on this set of stairs, but nonetheless, it's on display for all of you viewers now. So there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Season 3, Episode 7. As you just heard, our guest is David Greenberg, General Secretary of the Scottish Rite. Secretary is like a really weird term. He's the guy that answers the phones.
Well, it's
Which
like
you do sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally, but it's like the guy who's in charge of the UN, the Secretary General, but I'm the General Secretary. Nothing specific about my job.
Secretary General.
I just do everything.
If you're watching, you can just see the little head Bobby did with that.
Chief cook and bottle washer of the Valley of Omaha.
I love it. And What do you got? The dispenser of fobs for the door. The gatekeeper.
He's got all sorts of roles. He's also the one that always is pointing out all the brass that needs to be polished in the building.
The building is gorgeous. Tons of brass, accents all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came in there, I'm like, why are these black? And they said, well, they've always been black. And I'm like, no, they've just gotten tarnished. And they're, no, there's nothing under them. Got some flits. And they're like, hey, that looks really good. Why don't you do the rest of them? You know. So we're slowly going around the building, cleaning everything.
Nice. It is looking sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dig into the Scottish Rite and more about our guest, we'd be remiss to not mention our sponsors.
You are correct. You want to handle them this time, Jim?
Oh, I'd hate to do that.
Okay.
All hail the sponsors.
First, as always, our first sponsor, Homeward Handyman Services, who's going to help us a little bit on some projects here.
That's what I heard.
And the Insurance Center, who I do not have insurance through because I already had insurance, but check them out. Talk to Brother Jason, one of our co-hosts.
Mm-hmm.
The Corporal Dagan Page Foundation, who everybody knows will always be near and dear to our hearts. And, of course, our Patreon supporters. Thank you very much.
All of them are very important to
Yes.
the mission of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Important, not impotent. I had a little spell corrector when I was messaging Brother Eric the other night. I meant to call him important, and it put impotent. Oops.
Yeah. Big difference.
It's
Yeah.
the AI. It knows something we don't.
Right. Maybe. All right, Jim, what have you been up to since our last show?
Oh, well, since the last show, I think I went on vacation. We went a little globe hopping. I think that was between the last two episodes. So we did a cruise.
Well, you were... No, we recorded with Mark since
You're right.
you were
we
back.
recorded with Mark since I came back.
Yeah.
So since Mark, really just attending a lot of business meetings and working. So
How many bodies are you a part of now?
honestly, if I'm eligible for it, I think I'm probably in it right now.
I think so.
And I don't know if we mentioned it in the last episode, but I've talked time and time again that I had not joined the shrine yet because I didn't have time and I was going to wait, and I joined the shrine. So I still haven't figured out the no word.
Brooks is one hell of a salesman.
Yeah.
No, still doesn't have a season.
Well, that one I was leaning on my wife. She was the one that was upset about it and the amount of time and yeah, Brooks talked to her and she agreed to it. So now I've lost another night or two, but what is it? Whatever.
Well, but then you got to join a unit or club
Or a committee.
or a committee. There's more time.
They're called kooks.
Well, slow down. Right now, I went through my cold sands, and that was a very neat experience with a bunch of guys that I really appreciate. I knew most of the people in the room, which tells you how much I've hang out at Masonic functions. But no, it's been good so far. So
Excellent.
I just need to find time for myself anymore, but it'll happen someday.
Yeah. David, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks?
Scottish Rite stuff, shrine stuff. Nothing at home.
I guess
Pretty
in
much.
some ways that could be good.
Pretty much nothing at home. 12 hours a day. Get home, the kids are fortunately asleep and not arguing. Wife is watching TV after she got home from work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when the kids start arguing. We call them the Bickersons. In today's episode of the Bickersons, it's going to be Elliot versus Jacqueline, and she can't get in the bathroom. So she has to rip the door off the hinges. Let me in!
I love it.
And he's like, no. You're laying there in bed. I'm going to kill somebody.
You guys have been busy.
Yeah, we've been putting the house together. We
Yes.
did get a little shooting time in just right before the episode, though.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
It was kind of fun. Not camera type shooting, like projectile
Like
shooting.
pew pew.
Pew pew.
Cool.
Tink.
We endorse our wireless paper hole puncher.
I guess we did. I skipped over. Beehive did have a master mason.
We did have a master mason degree. We had a business meeting
Yeah.
2 days ago. That went fantastic. I read the prayers out of the book like a champ.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
You and every other chaplain.
No,
positive.
I've seen a couple of them mess up recently.
A little positive reinforcement goes a long ways, Jim.
Right,
Thank you.
right.
Kind
about
of
you?
palm him in the hand, you know. So,
It's been work and getting house unpacked and yeah. Still the same as you. It's like every other episode.
I have no response to that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, congratulations to our newest Master Mason, Sean Ransdell, who immediately went out and got a Master Mason tattoo.
Mhm.
So congrats on that. His first one. Very sizable one for his first one.
Yeah, it is. Impressive.
So, yeah, good way to start the addiction.
Did they spell it right?
Said no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. They didn't write it in Chinese and it said beef with broccoli.
I love people who get the Chinese symbol. Like, do you really know that's what that means? Who knows? All right, so we've already covered question 1. We know who you are. We know where you work.
We
How
know where you
long-
live.
Yeah.
Where I live.
Well, we are the Freemasons, right?
That's right.
I live at the Scottish Rite. I'm there more than I'm at home.
You're right.
So, how long have you been a Mason? What got you into Masonry? What lodge you belong to? Kind of your Masonic resume.
Belong to 5 lodges, soon to be 6.
Oh shit!
So,
And I'm the one that has a problem with no.
oh, I never said I knew what the ancient lost Masonic word was. I mean, you know, I've been a Mason since 2009.
Okay.
I had a business back then that did management technology consulting, and so I was looking for some shirts because I was going into people's homes, and you can't go in there looking like a slob or are you a guy that works out of his car? No, I work out of an office. I didn't tell him it was in my house in my basement, but
right.
So I needed some shirts, and I happened to be stuck on the highway behind a guy who had a promotional company, and his car was just covered with all kinds of stuff. We got shirts, we got this. So the wife was driving, and I was texting him. And by the time we got to the almost new mother-in-law's house, because I think she was my fiance then, not really the wife, but he goes, yeah, I got 10,000 things come in. So I stopped in his office a couple days later, and he had a shrine cooler. And it was one of those riding coolers with the motor. Mm-hmm. And so I go in there, I'm like, hey, Shriner? He goes, yeah, are you? And I said, no. He goes, would you like to be? I said, well, I always thought about it, never really got around to it, and petition.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so then that started the journey into Freemasonry. And
This is in Chicago, right?
Yeah, that was in Highland Park, actually, which is a suburb 30 miles north of Chicago.
Okay.
I showed up at that building for the initial interview, and I remember it was mid-January. The building was dark. They didn't tell me where to park. The place looked like a freaking haunted house. The old wooden shutters are like busted up and half fallen off, everything. I'm like, what is this, a joke? I thought these guys run the world. It's supposed to be, thing. I hit the bell a couple times. Eventually the light comes on. I go in, I sit at some rickety old wicker table with a bunch of guys. Decide I'm going to join. And a few years later, I was the worshipful master of that lodge, leading the infrastructure rebuild of the whole place.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So what was your initial draw? Was it just that you wanted to be a Shriner, or did you know more about it?
I wanted to be a Shriner, actually. When I was a kid, they had the 4th of July parade, and you had these genies, the Shriner guys, and these little flying carpets. The whole genie outfit, purple outfit, the hat, the whole thing, doing tricks. And they looked like they were flying, and I was like about 9. I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, of course, when I got raised as a master mason in something called a Blue Lightning, they had so many backed up candidates that we did 16 guys at the same time, and they did the fellow craft and the master mason back to back.
Really?
So
Wow.
no catechism in the middle. It's a whole thing that you can do in Illinois. And being the smallest guy, they were like, yeah, you're going to be the exemplar. Okay. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And they had, what did we do? That night after I became, got raised as a master mason, about 3 hours later, they're like, hey, you want to be a Shriner, right? I said, yeah, sure. We'll come up to this OV for the Lake County Shrine Club. The potentate wants to make Shriners on the spot. I said, okay, sure. So I drive up to this place about 20 minutes north of where I live, and there's about 300 lunatic Shriners running around with the fezzes and the outfits, and they're selling swords in the back. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? They're like, come on in the office, come meet the potentate. And so he takes me back there, some guy, dressed up in some weird outfit. He goes, okay, we're going to give you the secret handshake and the password and the whole thing. I'm like, that's it? He goes, well, it is tonight. He goes, you're the first one we've ever done like this. We decided to do this, yesterday. Oh, okay. So then I come out, and I think I was married at that point, and they tell my wife, Linda, hey, you got to fez them. Well, there's 300 of these guys, so they give me a fez. She's like, what? Yeah, you're going to fez them. She still beats me up over that to this day. But became a Shriner a hot, literally 3 hours after I got raised.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later went and joined the Scottish Rite, Northern Masonic jurisdiction.
Okay.
But they had torn down the cathedral in Chicago. Somebody showed up with a large bag of money, and they said, hi, you're moving. Here's, substantial amount of cash. And I'm like, aye. And they left. So to get the degrees, they did them in lodge rooms. They did them in other places. Well, they decided to have a joint reunion with the Southern out in Valley, Las Vegas. So we flew out to Vegas and got the bulk of the degrees out there. But I don't really remember much of it because it's Vegas, And we spent more time drinking than I think we spent actually watching the degrees.
Of course.
They had the Zelza Shrine was next door, that they shared a building. And so they did the 4th degree, and then they said, okay, they're going to change the sets. Well, they had these guys that were in their 90s. And they're like, it's going to take them a while, so go over to Zelza. So we're sitting there, and you got any breakfast? And they said, no, but we have beer. Oh, good. Beer is great. Beer is, full of grains, and you eat grains for breakfast. So we tapped that keg. By the time we got done with the day and went to the hospitality room, there was an hour break. We were already drunk. And then the hospitality room picked up about 4. I remember the wife calling me, how you doing? Great. Are you drunk? No.
Would never do such a thing.
Filled with the Spirit. So, being a one-day Mason, being a one-day Shriner, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to anyone that's gone through it that way. My process ended up being, to be a Shriner has been 2 years, but how do you feel about that? Do you have any regrets that it was that way? Do you wish you'd have gone through a longer process? Do you think everyone should go through a shorter process? Do you have an opinion on that?
There's a lot of back and forth on that where they say, hey, the guy's missing out. He's not getting the full experience. These guys tend to drop out. I've been in this thing since, 2009, so 17, 18 years. I'm probably the exception to that rule because I got involved in probably too much stuff, did too many things, and haven't eaten at home for years, But I think if you do it right and you get somebody and you keep them involved and they have decent mentors, it's going to be all right. A lot of the guys that I had that mentored me kept me busy. And that's why I have, to this day, I have a pin that's got the little beehive on it, for you guys. And under it, it says activity improves. Because if you're doing something, you're going to have a viable lodge. We have a certain procedure that we used in Illinois for the Blue Lightnings, and part of it involved getting the backlog of work done. And so you got all these guys brought up, but then you had to put them to work, and they still had to return a catechism. In Illinois, it can be a long or a short, and here it used to just be a long, and now it can be a long or a short. But I did the short ones. I didn't have the memory for the ritual.
If you had to do the long one, do you think you would have stuck it out?
Maybe not at that time, because I had undiagnosed sleep apnea. I was constantly in a fog. I was getting 1 hour of sleep for every 8.
Yeah.
And now that I know that I got that, I can actually remember stuff. But it's always up to the worshipful. And so we had guys over the years. They'd be up in front of the lodge and they'd freak out. They could do the thing perfect. You'd be out in the garage with them and they nail it. And then you get them up in front of the altar and it's like, And so the master would say, okay, take 3 guys, take them down the basement and interrogate them. And then they'd be like, what do you mean interrogate me? And that'll be fine. We're not going to, they're not going to do anything.
Put the big floodlight in their face.
Yeah. Did you give them the 3rd degree, Bob? But they'd go down there, and then the master would say, okay, I declare you proficient. And then at some point, these guys would see enough ritual and go to enough degrees, they're like, you know what, I want to try the long. And if they did all the long forms, and they did it without any flaws, we'd give them a silver matchbox in Illinois.
That's cool.
That is neat.
They had the silver tongue, so to speak.
This is way off subject, but what is the what's the shrine or one of the shrines in Chicago?
Medina?
I thought Medina was in Kansas.
No, Medina's it was in Chicago. They also got a very large bag of money and moved out to Addison.
Is there one that looks like a castle?
That's medieval times in Schaumburg.
I was going with Disneyland, but I like yours better.
Medina's got some old Moorish architecture to it, but they did it in like fake stone and resin and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then there's Tabala, which I think is in Rockford. I was never out there, and there's one up in Milwaukee that I was never at either.
That's a great Chicago-Milwaukee rivalry. Like, you just don't... How does that work? Because I took a flight one time from Chicago to Milwaukee. It would have been faster to take a taxi.
Right.
Oh, hell, you could have drove that.
It's not that far.
Yeah, I could have walked faster than we flew.
Yeah, you could have drove that. I lived where I was about 30, 40 minutes away from Milwaukee and 30, 40 minutes away from Chicago. Although, depending on the time you got on the highway, it could be 3 hours into Chicago.
Yeah.
The Kennedy was a real joy. The Kennedy-Edens Junction was even more insane. But
speaking of Illinois Masonry, I believe you also have a title, don't you, that coming out of Illinois?
So when I was in, when I was in Illinois, I was the District Deputy Grand Master for the 1st Northeastern District of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons for the state of Illinois. So the DDGMs are the Grand Master when he's not in the area. We're his proxy. And basically once a year you're supposed to go around, do an official visit, look at the lodges, financial books, make sure everything's in order and it's assigned properly and the equipment is good and no one's going to get hurt during a degree, and they have the Constitution on the pedestal for the master and whatnot. In practice, I went to every single event every one of my lodges had, and I traveled about 3,000 miles a year in my district, which was 7 lodges running from Highland Park to Antioch, which means nothing here, but it went from the south end of Lake County to the very north end of Lake County up by the Wisconsin state line. and I had about 1,000 Masons in there. And over the years, I would teach them how to run their lodges better as businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many guys do you have that haven't paid for, 5-6 years? And there was substantial amounts of money that hadn't been paid, and they were resistant to going out and NPDing those guys because the Grand Lodge used to say, "Well, you got to send them a certified letter."
Yeah.
Okay, in Illinois, the per cap was $15. The certified letter was $8. So why would you want to spend the money?
Yeah.
And just to get back the thing and then fill out a form. And so it just continued to build. So I finally made an executive decision and said, yeah, you don't have to do that. You have to go knock on the door if you can. Call the guy, email him, and if he doesn't respond, well, you're not mentalis. You don't know what's going on in his life. If he doesn't tell you, you're going to have to suspend him.
Yeah.
And I'll help you do the forms. So we sat down and wrote out 75 of these forms for one of the lodges, called up the Grand Master's admin assistant and said, hey, you're going to have 75 of these things. How do you want them to come in? And, a few this week, a few the next week. Okay, fine. So we got them all done. And then they had a better understanding of where their lodge stood financially because they knew how much money they were going to get back. Predicted on dues, instead of saying, well, we might get 40%. Well, now you knew you're going to get 80% of X.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it took. They would do an official, you'd have to do an official visit once a year, and then they would receive you. And so you'd go and you'd knock on the door, and they'd say, okay, who is it? And you're like, Right Worshipful District Deputy desires admission. Then they'd be, okay, hang on a minute. And they go, tell the worshipful master, okay, you'll convene a committee. And so then they convene a committee with the junior and senior warden, and they come to the door, and who are you? Well, I'm Brother David Scott Greenberg, Right Worshipful District Deputy Grand Master of the 1st Northeastern District of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, or the state of Illinois. And then they'd be like, okay. And then the senior warden would tell the junior warden that. And then the three of them would march you up to the altar. And then the senior warden would repeat it to the master. And while you're walking in, they gavel up the whole lodge. And then you go, okay, I'd like to welcome you to the east. So, you'll conduct the Right Worshipful District Deputy Grand Master to the east. So then they take you up there. And then the worshipful's like, would you like the gavel? And 99% of the time the answer was no.
Right.
You're like, oh no, I'm just here to speak, and
Mm-hmm.
and then they usually let you sit up in the east.
Right.
Those were the easy things. Occasionally we'd have to do jurisprudence. Somebody would get a case of what I always call testosterone poisoning,
Yeah.
and you have to go in there and fix that. And 99% of it was like, okay, you're going to that lodge and you go over to that lodge and just stay away from each other for 6 months. But very rarely they'd get stupid and want a Masonic trial. And then that's
I have a very good friend that calls it the urinary Olympics.
no, I never heard of that. But yeah, it was a pretty good time. And then when I left, they made me the grand representative to Nebraska from Illinois. So kind of like the ambassador for the Grand Lodge of Illinois to Nebraska, but Nebraska currently doesn't have any grand representatives. They stopped doing it, and who knows, maybe one day they'll bring that back.
Mm-hmm. I'll represent, by golly.
Oh, me? Tell us what you could. Tell us what the differences are between Illinois and Nebraska Masonry.
What you can say
Yeah.
openly.
Yeah.
Floor work, for one. The way we hold the rods, transfer the rods, deal with the rods is all different. Where the positioning of the steward's chairs are is different.
Okay.
The way we work at the altar is different. Here in Nebraska, you don't work under the rod; you socket that thing. In Illinois, you're working under the rod, and until you get used to it, it can be a little bit disconcerting. But I've never seen anybody drop one. And then the ritual is slightly different. They flip words. And then the lectures in Nebraska are slightly more extensive and detailed than they are in Illinois for the degree work.
Mm-hmm.
But the funeral work in Illinois is a little more extensive than it is in Nebraska.
Really?
So are you saying if you wanted to memorize less, you go to Illinois?
Oh, yeah. But we have a long form and a short form apron lecture, when you present the apron to the guy. And I never heard the long form ever until one day I was standing next to a grand lecturer, which is like our version of the deputy custodians. And these are the guys that are, so to be a grand lecturer in Illinois, you have to have sat in the East in a lodge, and you have to know every lecture, long and short form, and you have to know the funeral stuff and all the ceremonies. We have something slightly less known as a certified lodge instructor, which just does the opening and closings of the 3 degrees, how to go from one to the other and back down again, and then all the rod work. And so I'm standing next to this grand lecturer, and I knew he had been sick that week, but the guy was out of the Navy. He'd been doing it longer than I'd been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he installed me into every chair I ever sat in, including in the East. And he went and did the long form apron lecture, which I'd never heard. And I'm like, what in the heck's going on? I'm like, is he having a moment, or does he not eat? Well, I'm not going to stop the guy, So I'm standing there with the candidate, and then we go on with our merry way. And after the meeting, I'm like, what in the heck was that? Oh, that's the long form of the lecture. It just popped into my head, and I thought I'd do it. And I'm like, okay.
Does Illinois have a cipher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a cipher. Part of it is not in, code, just like ours here in Nebraska. The way they do the Masonic corners and the way they turn is much more deliberate. If our grand lecturers were here in Nebraska, I mean, if they saw what we do here in Nebraska, they'd lose their minds. The first time I saw it, I'm like, why are these guys zooming around? And then the apron, the way you wear the aprons for the degrees is different.
Yeah, is the fellowcraft and master flipped then, or is it just completely different? Yeah.
And then the lecture for the fellowcraft, we were always a receptacle for the working tools, the way you folded it. And then I come out and I'm like, what in the heck is this? But you get to see things. It's kind of neat. The only problem is sitting as an officer in one of the lodges, and I'm the junior warden, there's several words that are flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And I consistently screw them up and get grief over it.
That's going to be difficult.
Yeah. If you learned it one way and you've done it that way for a long time.
The way you knock on the doors is different.
Really?
Yeah.
What, you guys got doorbells or something?
Oh, no, we knock more.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then the way they're holding the way they step off from the door in Illinois, if you can tell if you go to a lodge and they don't do it right, because the door is all dinged up. The door is just beat, from all the rods. And you look at it and you go in there and you're like, okay, so you guys have, floor work issues you need to, study? No, we're good. Door says otherwise, oh, that's old,
So I'm going to change this next one up. We could probably ask it next, but I'm curious personally. What is it like to have your usual vocation actually be grounded in masonry? Meaning, I work a job that has absolutely nothing to do with Freemasonry. They're almost two separate worlds, but in your case, you get to take something that we really enjoy, Freemasonry. You do that for a living. What is that like? Is do you see it different from your previous careers? Is it just another job? How does that feel to you?
For 40 years, I was a management and technology consultant. I was the guy that people would call when nobody else could figure it out. And they're like, this system's not working. No one's seen this thing. We need someone to dive into this and make it work and then re-engineer a new solution. And so I did that. And then when I moved here, I had sold my company and I was looking for another position. And, they're not easy to find. You get to be around your late 50s and people are like, I'm going to hire that guy,
Right.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start another company. And they had this little thing in the lodge notice for the Scottish Rite that said, we're looking for a general secretary. The other guy's retiring, and we'd like to. And I said, well, that's great. I was a secretary of a lodge, a treasurer of a lodge, did all this management consulting stuff. I've been involved in all these different. Sure, what the hell? I'll take the job. So I go and I apply for the job, and they're like, okay, so you were an IT guy, a business guy, and a Mason at various levels through the Grand Lodge. So they decided to take a chance and hire me. And then I discovered that I never got a job description, and I was going to be the chief cook and bottle washer of the whole place. They needed an IT guy because the IT systems needed to be upgraded. You needed a business guy to know how to deal with all of the different funds and different foundations, and you needed someone who was a consultant that could deal with multiple different groups and sit on different boards and lead different committees that have different kinds of skill sets, or different goals that they're trying to achieve. And for me, it's not any different from anything else I've ever done. I'm used to walking into situations where I have no idea what's expected of me and then figuring it out, making it work. And it's great. I not only get to do Freemasonry every single day of the week, I get to do other things that I enjoy too, helping to grow an organization, make them more active. The Scottish Rite here, at least, helps to grow all the other lodges throughout the state with our membership seminars and whatnot. And it's a blast to be able to work on all of that. Occasionally you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've done enough Freemasonry this week. I got to go cut the grass, at my house because my kid's not doing it. But I really enjoy it.
Good.
All right, I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. After a few words from these fine sponsors.
Demonstrate that love never ends through the commitment to support past and present service members, the communities that surround them, and the loved ones of those whom we will never forget. Visit deganpage.org for more information.
At Homeward Handyman Services, we pride ourselves on being honest and giving every job the attention it deserves. Owned and operated by a master mason with 2 decades of expertise in home repair. We are bonded and insured, and we carry the highest standards when it comes to taking care of your home. Whether you need a faucet changed or a light remodel, we can take care of your home improvement needs. Call Michael at 402-915-0824 today for a free estimate.
All right, so we have entered into a temporary, possible permanent partnership with something that I've been looking for a long time. And so we have found a brother in Killeen, Texas. His name is Jesus Soto. He runs Yisos Cigars, Yisos Cigars. Just give you a little backstory. The guy was born in Jersey, raised in Puerto Rico, spent 20 years in the Army. So obviously a lot of discipline, resilience, vision, leadership. So he's a barber and an entrepreneur, so he started a barber shop in Killeen, Texas. But he wanted more than that. He wanted more than haircuts. He wanted an experience. So he's like, you know what? Let's bring in some culture, some brotherhood, relaxation. And he's put a cigar lounge, if I can talk, put a cigar lounge next to his barbershop. So you come get a haircut, unwind, network with some other men, have a nice cigar. You can bring your own drinks, which is fun. So Yiso Cigar is not just a brand. It represents craftsmanship, legacy, elevation. They are very, very well made. They have different, obviously different flavor profiles, but different intensities, let's say. You had one the other night that was pretty intense, more for probably a veteran cigar smoker.
Yeah.
I had one that was a little more sweet, but they're really good, and they're smooth. And he has a website that is not on here. Ugh, I don't have it. Work on it, Gabe, for me, please. He is on Facebook. Again, YISOS Cigars. There is a website for it.
Yiso's Cigar Lounge.
Yiso Cigar Lounge. .com. If you're into cigars at all, I know we've already built some interest here in Nebraska or in Omaha with our brother Chop. He does carry Hiram and Solomon cigars as well. But all of these cigars that he carries, they're all handcrafted. They're very nice. I think I'm going to try the Wilma as soon as we're done here. It's supposed to be very... Wilma! Yeah. Should we...
Is there a Fred one too? I'm just
I don't know. We could tie that into the water buffalo degree.
Yeah,
maybe.
bring it to the Water Buffalo degree down at Tangier. 25th of April.
Great cigars, a great smoke. I actually quit smoking cigarettes several years ago, but I do enjoy a nice cigar. Good flavor, good smoke. They burn evenly.
Yeah, very well. They burn well.
Yeah. So check them out on Facebook. Check their their website. God, it's like I've been drinking and I really haven't.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I'm just tired. I should have a shot of Shanky's.
These couches are too comfy.
Shanky's Whip, Black, Smooth, and Irish, would also pair very well with these cigars, I might add.
Somebody needs to make a Shanky cigar.
Maybe we'll work on Shanky's infusion with Yiso cigars. We could be breaking the eighth wall. Anyways, if you're into cigars, check them out. Get a hold of us if you can't figure out how to get a hold of them, and we will direct you in the right path. All right. Thank you for your time. You did a good job holding those cigars.
Thanks.
Can I have one?
Yeah.
Okay. See you later. When it comes to something as important as insurance, it's imperative that you work with an agency who has an in-depth knowledge of multiple insurance products, companies, and guidelines, not just one. We are completely independent agents, and we work for your best interests. We are Mason-friendly. We have locations in Fremont and Elkhorn. We provide policies for virtually all of your personal and commercial needs, including health and dental. Visit our website at www.theinsurancecenterinc.com. We're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
times. That's medieval times.
That's a good time to bring it back.
Now that we have the chicken strip out of your mustache, why don't you bring us back?
All right.
Brother, son.
All right, brother, dad.
And we're back.
With chicken strips in his beard.
What type of events are held at the Rite?
Oh, all kinds of events. We're event inclusive. No.
Multifaceted eventing.
We have something for everybody. So I have multiple audiences that go through the Scottish Rite. I've got teenagers. I've got people who are in their 20s, college kids. I've got people who are just starting a family or just have a new career that they're beginning. You've got people who are well entrenched in their careers, and then you've got people who are retiring. And you have to have something to appeal for everybody because we want to have members that are long-term. Otherwise, the organization just doesn't survive. If I keep bringing in guys that are all in their 40s, I'd close it right now and just become a charity because there won't be anybody there in 20, 30 years. Though it's just the nature of the beast. So you have to appeal to different demographics. So we've got things that we're going to start doing for the DMLA, where we'll bring them in as ex officio on various committees so they get exposed to how to become better leaders and run organizations like the Scottish Rite, see how the finances are done, how the events are planned, and we'll have them put together and run maybe a dinner. Hey, this is all you guys. We're not going to let you fail. We'll tell you, that you didn't order enough food or something, but, you figure out how you're going to get it cooked, how you're going to get it served, lead the speech and everything like that. And it'll be a good opportunity for them. The younger ones in college, they're only going to be there during the college breaks. So you're not going to get a lot out of them, but, activity-wise. But you need to have something that they're going to enjoy. As they get a little older, we have the outdoor events at Papillion where they do some skeet shoot, and then we have some steak, and we bring new prospective members in. We have the regular members, and that's probably around 100 to 150 guys that show up. While we start dealing with that in January.
Yeah.
You have to get the tents lined up. You have to get the facility reserved and everything like that. And then you got to start advertising that thing early. You can't, show up the week before and go, oh, yeah, by the way, we're having this thing out at Papillion. Would you like to come? And then you got like 4 people.
I've always wanted to go to that, but it's on a Tuesday. I work.
Is it on a Tuesday?
It has been the last couple of years.
I think it's May 20th.
I thought it was Wednesday, but I could be wrong.
It might be Wednesday. Either way, it's during the week.
I've been to all of them since I joined Masonry. It's a great time, great food, great friendship, fellowship.
I don't get 18 weeks of vacation a year, Jim.
Lots of drinks. What? It goes
Collins-
into the. What time do you get done with work? Because I bet it's going on.
I'm usually done at like 2:30.
We'll see. It starts at 4:30.
Yeah, just call in sick, I'm feeling horrible. I can't come in today.
Come in the next day. Why do you smell like gunpowder?
So they do some skeet shooting. If you want to do that, then you can't drink.
Right.
And so as soon as you have that first drink, we put a little purple wristband on you, and then you're not shooting. Keep it as safe as possible.
Sure.
They have raffles. They give away some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, 50-50s. One of the guys that was there who since retired used to go out and they'd say, okay, take a couple $100 and go buy some stuff. And he'd come back with some pretty weird, items. A lot of them from the dollar store. And they'd auction off these toolkits that you're like, yeah, okay, that's purely ornamental. I'm never going to try to use that thing, So he retired, and I'm like, no, we're going to spend a little more on these things, make him try to upgrade a little bit. So that's worked out pretty well. We have the Lodge of Perfection dinners that come up monthly. Once a quarter, everybody will go upstairs. The guys will go upstairs and have a regular meeting where we open the 4 coordinate bodies of the Scottish Rite and conduct business, and then we come downstairs. Well, those Lodge of Perfection dinners, everybody brings the wife or the girlfriend, usually not at the same time, because you don't need that nonsense in your life, But a lot of the guys bring them because it's like a date night. And for $15, $20, whatever we charge for dinner, you don't have tips, you don't have all of this crazy parking and valets and everything. You come park in our garage, you have a nice time.
Our babysitters are available.
Yeah, we have the Job's daughters come in there and do babysitting for $5. We keep the kids busy, keep them out of mom and dad's hair. What's left of it anyway.
Yeah.
We have our reunions twice a year, and we bring in a bunch of guys, make them Scottish Rite Masons. We're going to change some of that up. I may have some I might be able to get permission to show some of the Northern Masonic jurisdiction degrees at ours if it's not one of our mandatory degrees.
Right.
I want to give people a reason to show up. You know, they've seen the same degree and they're like, okay, nothing's changed. Why do I want to go to the Scottish Rite reunion? Well, frankly, you shouldn't, because nothing's changed. Why would you want to go waste your time? You know, I want to give you a good value add, so I need to have things that are different. And those are things we're planning on doing. We're going to have a Beamer Fest. All these people that have BMWs are going to bring them, park them in the garage, and have a car show in May. And then they're going to do some stuff inside the building as well. We have the Junior ROTC and the ROTC that do their ball. So we had 400 of those kids running around.
Yeah, my niece was actually the commander,
Brigade commander.
brigade commander for OPS Junior ROTC. Had a blast. Said it was a great place to have a ball.
Oh, they're remarkably well behaved. What else have we got? Golf outings.
At the Mardi Gras dinner.
Oh yeah, Mardi Gras dinner. So we had that. We had the band. We'll see who we get next year. We have poker nights that are coming up. You can come. It's $100 buy-in. Come throw a few hands, and people always try to get out of it and say, "Well, I'm no good at poker," and that's exactly who we're looking for. You know, you don't have to be good at poker. In fact, you want to come there and just have a good time. You don't want to have to think like you're poker stars on, TV or anything.
Right.
Come on out, have some fun, and end up donating a little money to charity. We have the walk and roll that they call for Right Care, which is out at one of these malls. I apologize, I don't know the name of the mall because I've been there once, and I only moved to Omaha 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oakview?
It's Oakview.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oakview
probably
Mall.
It's not busy enough to have anybody get in the way there.
Yeah.
There's like 6 stores left in the entire mall.
We used to go out to Chalco,
Okay, yeah.
and they would do it out there, but it was the same 5 families that showed up every time, and I'm like, okay, this isn't worth doing.
Right.
Unless you're going to get a whole lot of people, why would you want to do it? And where it happens to be, where the entrances happen to be on 370, you're not going to know they're there unless you know they're there.
Yeah.
And you go blasting past them at 55, 60 miles an hour, and like, oh, man, I got to turn around now, and try to get in on the other way.
Yep.
And then you got to go back in there and figure out where the heck it is. It was all right, but it needed to be revamped. What else we got going on?
Is there a silent auction?
Oh, yeah. A Right Care dinner, Friends of Right Care dinner and auction. So we're looking to raise $100,000 this year. And we're well on our way. We're going to have, we're going to be auctioning off a plane ride around Omaha. One of our brothers happens to be a pilot and is going to donate some time.
Nice.
Flight time. You won't even have to pay for the fuel. We have somebody who's donating a $4,000 fur coat. So we'll see what we can get for that. We have some other corporate sponsors that are going to come in. But I've challenged all of the officers in the line guild to raise $2,000 each.
Yeah.
And then our development director would pick up the rest with larger donors that he knows. So we're doing that. That'll come up in October.
One that I'm interested to hear about that had recently been announced, our Oregon is celebrating its 100th anniversary. And so I'm assuming it's still on.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to do a silent movie. Like
really?
the old talkies where they play the music along with it. They've got. When is that coming up? I didn't catch a date on that.
I thought it was April 16th. Let me pull out the calendar.
I think it's a little later in the year, but it's that's actually kind of exciting. And if you've been in the Rite and heard that organ go, it's really something impressive.
Yeah.
So
Oregon.
we can get more information on that later too.
June 14th.
June 14th.
I knew it was a 14th.
It's a beautiful theater.
Mm-hmm.
That theater can be rented out for events as well.
Well,
right?
that was the other thing I was going to bring up is talk a little bit, because we've talked about the things that the Rite does, the events that we've got, but the building's actually available for your own event, isn't it?
Yeah, so we rent out, you can rent out the whole building or portions of it. We have some people that rent out the 33rd degree room, which for conferences, or they'll have an event there and they'll use that as a space for the talent that they have to hang out and eat. The 33rd degree room, you could spend an entire day in there just staring at the photos and then looking up where these families were back in the day in Omaha. Everybody that ever got the 33rd in the valley is on the wall. Mm-hmm. And we're running out of space.
Yeah.
So we gotta figure that out. The Grand Cross room the ceiling is phenomenal. The first time I walked in there, I didn't have the job yet. I was going to affiliate with the Scottish Rite, and so they're like, "Yeah, go ahead and take a tour." And I wandered into this room, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I'm like, "Wow!" Mm-hmm. I actually laid on a table for about 20 minutes and stared at the ceiling, trying to find a flaw, and I can't find one.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous room.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Well, you can use that for interviews. So if you're a company and you're going to be hiring some kind of an executive and you don't want everybody to know who the potential guy is, bring them to the Scottish Rite, set them down in this room, they get a little coffee and, some, soft drink service, and have the interview. And then if you hire them, then they'll then they'll find out. But
yeah. Oh, excellent.
We have the ballroom capacity for 300. The middle chamber, another 80 or 90 you could put in there. The bar is about another 100.
And between those three rooms, they're very popular for weddings. We have quite a number of weddings, big weddings, receptions, and with a bar and everything else. We really fill it up, have a good time.
And then we've got the downstairs. You've got another 100 and so that you can put in the downstairs lounge area. Display cases with all kinds of Masonic paraphernalia, what us Jewish guys call tchotchkes. Cases are full of them. The auditorium is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
217 seats on the floor that are all put in around 2005 that were custom made for the room. And then you could put another 60 in front of that, in front of the stage. And then up in the balcony, there's another 185 seats, but you could have basically 150 of them are really what I would want to sell.
Yeah.
Because there could be a bar in front of your head if you're an adult that's a certain height, the safety bar, or you'd be under a spotlight or in one of the usher seats or something, and have a really bad
those on the
sightline.
balcony, those are the original seats, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have, underneath them, they have these wire boxes that were used for putting your top hat.
Yeah.
And then they have
your umbrella.
Yeah, the J hooks for putting your umbrella or your cane.
And it really is spectacular space that could be used for all sorts of things. I know that we've had different, beyond what the Rite does, we've had different productions put in there. I still chuckle a little bit, but they've had bodybuilding competitions in there. They've had, you name it, you could have it in that, and it's an amazing event, an amazing place to have your event.
We got ballet performances that were in there. The Omaha Symphony Orchestra sets up in there for about a week, and they take over the costumery, which everybody else calls the wardrobe. But they have their costume people from the symphony there with a whole bunch of sewing machines that they bring in and set up, and they're working on all of their stuff. And then they've got the performers down in our ballroom practicing. And as an added bonus, they tune our baby grand piano every time.
Nice.
So we get that thing set up for free. The who else is in there? Ollie Webb takes over for about a week. They have their gala there. The kids are developmentally challenged, and they put on performances for the families, and it's phenomenal. They take over the whole auditorium, do a really nice job. They do their sets about a week before. There's always something going on. I mean, as I'm wandering around that building doing whatever it is I have to do, I can go up the stairs and somebody's playing the organ. Mm-hmm. We have a guy from the neighborhood who likes to play the organ. Got to know him a little better. It turns out he's a screenwriter and a couple other things. He used to work in a plastic factory. And I said, yeah, we'd love to have him play the organ. Keeps it exercised, keeps it working. So he calls us up. Yeah, hey, it's me. I want to come in and play the organ. Yeah, sure. And I'm wandering up the stairs, and this organ music is filling the hallway. And I'm like, God, this place is just neat.
Yeah.
You've got 3 lodges that meet in the lodge room. You got Beehive, George Leininger, and Albert Pike. Pike, of course, a businessman's lunch lodge. Leininger's more Air Force guys, and then Beehive, blue collar guys that actually do work.
Well, and the one thing that I would throw in, one of my favorite parts of the Scottish Rite is the Knights of St. Andrew. And I've talked about it on this podcast quite a bit, but it's got a special place in my heart. It kind of bridges the gap between the two because it is a service organization. It's a wing off of the Scottish Rite, and our mission is to serve the Scottish Rite. And so we fill in positions of greeters and bartenders and yet wait staff. We've done that. But we are members of the Scottish Rite that help with these events. If you had an event, we would be available, depending on how you set it up, but we would be available to assist in certain ways with that too. So that fills my wanting to give back. I get to physically give back to the Scottish Rite in that same capacity. So that's one of those organizations that has a foot in both worlds.
Yeah, they're our internal service organization. They've raised tens of thousands of dollars for the Rite. Mm-hmm. They charge for their services to the various organizations that are utilizing them, either as bartenders or wait staff or whatnot. And then the money goes into the KSA, and then whenever we need something, projector, we needed some draperies for a window that would be custom made. The air curtain.
Defibrillator.
Oh, yeah, defibrillators, the air curtain in the kitchen, all kinds of stuff. And they fund it. And
seem like pretty nice guys.
Oh, wonderful!
They're amazing.
We have an award that we hand out called the Double Eagle Award, Double Eagle 32, and so it's got this different colored ribbons, different colored inserts on a very nicely designed medallion that was designed by Brother John Hardy, past Venerable Master of the Lodge of Perfection. And depending on what you do, you acquire points, and you get different inserts and different colored ribbons. This year I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm also going to award points for doing things in your Blue Lodge or with the Shrine. Because, again, I want you to remain active, and I can't have members in the Scottish Rite if I don't have them in the Blue Lodge.
Right.
And so if the Blue Lodge fails, then the Scottish Rite is going to fail. So it behooves us to support that. And so if you attend the meeting, okay, points. You attend a degree, points. You take part in a degree, points. Those kind of things designed to build activity and help the lodges grow. And that'll eventually come and help the Scottish Rite.
Right.
I'm also going to have, besides the award, we'll award gift cards. And so you get $100, $250, whatever it is that we come up with, to various organizations around Omaha. Mm-hmm. And maybe that'll act as an incentive also to be a little bit more involved. We have some guys that are just insanely busy with the KSA. Dan Alotti and Wally Farley. And you get to the awards for the Double Eagle 32, and they have like, okay, now we have, we're going to award another jewel to Dan Alotti, and we had to get him a special jewel made just because he has like 50,000 points or something. And everybody else is like, 2,000 points? How did this guy get 50? And he's just there. Right. He's a true treasure of the Scottish Rite.
So how does somebody schedule their tour or book an event through the Scottish Rite?
You can do that by getting in touch with Cheryl Wonder. She's our rental coordinator. Call 402-342-1300 or email Cheryl at scottishriteomaha.org, and we'll be happy to set up a tour, or she'll talk to you about what it would cost to rent out the place or some portion of it. Oh, we got the Midwest Masonic Education coming up
Yep.
the end of this month.
Several of our past guests are going to be speaking at that conference.
So Robert Johnson was a DDGM of the 1st Northeastern District in Illinois before I was.
Okay.
And he appointed me to be his district auditor. And so I was the guy that went ahead of him to the meetings, and I would oversee the books and whatnot. And then several years down the line, I became DDGM of the same district. So it'd be nice to see him.
Yep.
So the dates on that would be April 24th and 25th. And then David was talking about the spring reunion coming up. That would be April 30th, May 1st, and May 2nd. So,
Yeah.
Look, he just got this right in his head.
well, I'm also the organizer for the KSA gig, so
Yeah, he's the gig master.
right.
Used to be Wally, but Wally's like, okay, I need to start, letting other people learn how to do things. So we gave it to this guy, and so now he's like, "You're coming. When are you gonna be there?"
And of course, Jim did not say no.
I didn't say no. I can't say no to the KSA ever.
Is that one of those things where you missed a meeting?
No, I
Okay.
actually that was actually that one. I take full credit for that one.
All right, so this is always a controversial question. If you could change something about Masonry, what would it be?
Well, we can't change anything. We have to respect the old landmarks. And if I start talking about changing things in Freemasonry, I'm going to irritate a couple of grand jurisdictions and probably several Scottish Rite jurisdictions. So nothing. But
That was an amazingly unfun answer.
well,
Let's try to restructure it.
Hypothetically,
What have you struggled most with in Freemasonry?
the views and opinions of the hosts and guests
That's
in our own.
well, people not being active. So you go through. You saw the movie. Whenever they would come out with a new National Treasure movie, we'd get a flurry of interest. Yeah, I'd like to come learn about Freemasonry. Oh, by the way, the jewels are not actual, sparkly things. They're something else. Oh, well,
Where's the treasure of Oak Island?
yeah. Well, can I know where the Knights Templar buried all the good stuff? No. And
Yeah,
so
maybe.
well,
I mean, I'll tell you.
You better not.
you have to find the right person, right? And so whenever we would get candidates, I was usually the guy for one or more of the lodges I was in that would end up talking to them. And, well, what do you do? And so I always flip around and say, well, what do you like to do? And I confuse them, and they say, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what are your interests? What do you like to do? They go, well, why do you want to know? Well, because I want to put you in the lodge. I want to get you affiliated with a lodge that's going to match your interests. Otherwise, you're going to go, oh, God, this is so boring. I don't want to go to another one of these meetings and hear the bills. It's a necessary evil. You got to run the business. But if the lodge isn't ever doing anything that you like, why would you want to pay your money to join?
Yeah.
So I've asked my lodges this for better part of a decade. What's the value add? Why should I join this lodge? And one of the guys I think you met at Beehive the other night,
Yeah.
he called us up out of the blue and said, I want to be a Mason. I said, okay, why?
Right.
And he goes, well, don't you want me to be one? I said, maybe. I don't know you. I go, why do you want to be a Mason? What attracted you to it? An hour and a half later, we're still on the phone, and I'm like, okay, why don't you come by and see the building, and I'll show you around. So the only time he could come was 7 o'clock at night. So I met him down at the Scottish Rite at 7 o'clock, and we were there till about 10. And he goes, I'm stoked. I want to join. And I'm like, well, that's great, but you're going to have to talk to the people in the lodge that you think you want to join. And they may not be right for you. But there's 17 other lodges around Omaha. So he goes, okay. I said, come on by. This is when they meet. Come by before dinner, talk with them, hang out, see if you want to join. And if you do, they may give you a petition. I go, but you got to get 2 of them to act as, references. And then you got to have a couple other references. And he goes, can I use my wife as one of them? I said, you don't want to be that guy, dude. Come on. You got to know somebody that's going to refer you besides the wife. I'm like, because we're trying to find guys
how about my mom?
Oh, my God.
Why would your mom be a reference for him?
Good point.
Something we should know?
No. We're not going there.
So he came back. He was walking around. The guy's still starry-eyed and wants to join, but it's going to be up to the lodge to keep him busy, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to find some guys that like ritual, and they're going to be your greatest ritualist. You're going to find some guys who are building guys. My lodge did not bring me in and make me master to be a ritualist. They needed an infrastructure guy, and that's a whole nother episode. But and then there's some people who really like working the events. If you go to Waterloo 102, we got guys who couldn't do ritual to save their life. They got through the catechism, but they love working the events. And so they're working a bourbon tasting or doing the end of winter luau or something like that, or a table lodge.
They do a lot of events over there. It's great.
That lodge, when I decided I was going to move out to Omaha, I started texting some people that we knew out here, and I said, hey, you know anybody who's a Mason? Because I'm involved in Freemasonry and I want to affiliate with a lodge. And they said, maybe. So I ended up talking with Frank Krupa, who I'd never met, but they gave me his text. And so I text him, hey, I'm a Mason. I want to come. He goes, so are you busy Mason, or are you like go to lodge and never come back and do it? I said, no, I'm a real busy Mason. So that'd be the understatement of the year. So he goes, oh, you want to go to Waterloo? So he introduced me to John Hardy. So John and I texted back and forth for the better part of 6-8 months. And finally I'm like, yeah, I found my clothes. I unpacked. I moved here. I've got a suit. I want to come by. Yeah, sure. Come on by. And so I went up there and met the brethren. And that night I decided I wanted to join Waterloo Lodge because they seemed like a good bunch of crazy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the lodges I went to were a good bunch of crazy. Guys were Shriners and they were always doing something.
Right.
And it was fun to join. So I said, okay, I'm going to get to meet a lot of people in Omaha. The secretary said, well, Brad Peterson, you're going to have to get the certificate of good standing, and that could take a while, and then you're going to have to get it over here and get it to our Grand Lodge. And so maybe 3-4 weeks or a month or who knows how long, but, get it done. So I went back home, and I emailed our secretary from my mother lodge, said, hey, I need a certificate of good standing. Well, he happened to be up. So he goes, yeah, sure. Well, who do you want me to send it to? I said, send it to the Grand Lodge. So he sent it down to the Grand Lodge of Illinois. The lady in charge of the office down there happened to be up. She goes, oh, I didn't know you moved. She called me. So I said, yeah, I moved. I told you I was moving. She's like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Okay, so what do I have to do with this? I said, send it to the Grand Lodge of Nebraska. She goes, it's happening right now. So the next morning, the Grand Lodge of Nebraska gets it and sends it to Brad, and he calls me and he's like, who in the hell are you, and why do I have a certificate of good standing less than 12 hours later? I'm like, you told me you wanted it.
Yeah.
Well, that started that little journey.
Nice.
But a very fun lodge to belong to. Mm-hmm. Compare and contrast it with Albert Pike. The only activities they have are lunch and a social once a month. And that's what they like to do. It's a limited membership for that lodge. It's basically a businessman's lunch lodge. Mm-hmm. If you're not there as a businessman for the lunch and for maybe the social, you're not going to like that lodge.
Right. And then there's Beehive.
Mm-hmm.
We have a special flare.
Some call it a stank.
A stank. The old beehive stank. Honey never gets rancid. Never spoils.
Well, you have a good lodge. You guys are always doing something with video games. Borrowing the TV splitter and...
We are. Tyson's getting good at using that TV for Masonic education.
Mm-hmm.
Cartoons even.
Yeah, if you enjoy cartoons and lodge, then...
So David, why should somebody join Masonry instead of just staying at home and watching TV and playing video games?
Because you get to meet people you wouldn't normally encounter in life.
Real people?
Yeah, actual, real, breathing people. So the Northern Masonic jurisdiction did a study and said, I forgot how many people they asked. It's under something called the Path Forward, and you can look it up online. But they did a study of several thousand men, and they said, what are the problems that are affecting you these days? And for the vast majority of men, they're lonely. They haven't made a new friend in 2 years. We all got stuck at home with that COVID nonsense, and we're just sitting there staring at the TV, watching Netflix, and binging another episode, sure. And then suddenly you're like, I haven't talked to anybody who's human for, in front of me for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Or like we were talking during the break, your friend that you had for 50 years has moved away, passed away, something happened. And how do you go make a new friend? Well, it's kind of difficult. It's not like when we were in school and everybody showed up at the same bar, showed up the same classes or the student union. And you're like, hey, where do you live? I'm over in that dorm over there, man. Come to the party. That doesn't work in real life. So now you go to a Masonic lodge, and you've got my mother lodge. We had a guy who was the worshipful master was a letter carrier for the post office. The guy who was washing dishes as the steward was an associate judge in the county. You had doctors, you had lawyers, you had linemen for the phone company. We didn't have anybody on the railroad because UP's not real big in Illinois, but in Highland Park anyway.
Oh, they are.
Not in
They
Highland
are.
Park. Not in Highland Park, they weren't. Highland Park was a ritzy area, not real industrial. But you had, who else did we have? We had the master welder for the gas company. So if you had a high-pressure gas line and you wanted somebody to weld a tap onto it while the line was live, he was the lunatic that climbed into the hole and made it happen the first time.
Not me.
Nope.
You see, we're going to pull the curtain back a little bit. The idea that we run the world, I understand where that comes from, but in all honesty, what it is when you've got a lodge where you've got somebody from every one of these things. My lodge, for example, there was a car salesman who recently passed away, but you get to know somebody in all these different places. You know exactly who to go to. You know exactly who to talk to. You don't get any special favors, but you know exactly who to go to, and they know who to talk to, and they can introduce you to the people. And so I understand where the appearance is that we run the world, but the fact of the matter is we just know somebody in all of these different industries, and they're people that we can trust.
Well, and it's simple networking.
Right.
It's networking with people that like you said, you can trust.
And just by hanging out and having a few drinks, or not, even if you don't drink, just hanging out and talking to these guys, I get to learn things that I never would have learned just sitting at home on playing video games and watching TV, because I get to hear real world stuff, behind the scenes kind of stuff that I'm not in that world, but I know somebody that is.
Yeah, and if you're around Masonry for any amount of time, you're going to have a friend in the business.
Yep.
Whether it be plumbers or handymen or electricians or mechanics, and you name it.
Or lawyers and judges.
Lawyers,
and
judges.
That's where I understand. We've got congressmen, we've got past presidents, we've got those kind of people, and it's just a matter of knowing those people. It's not that Masonry got us into these different areas. It's that people in those areas are Masons. So
contrary to some of the Facebook
Right.
pages out there, Masonry is not. Its purpose is not to elevate you in your social status and It's to improve yourself, your well-being, the way you carry yourself, the way you see yourself, the way others see you.
Well, I'm not going to name drop, but the last time I saw David, I happened to walk into a room, and he's having a conversation with a former congressman and mayor. And I got in the middle of a conversation. I don't have that conversation outside of Masonry, just
Right.
because I don't know those people, but I do.
Or you go to dinner at the Rite and you sit down with a sitting congressman.
Right.
Or,
So I didn't know he was a congressman.
oh, really?
And I'd known him for 2 years before through a different organization. I'm in an economic think tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I never met him in person. We would talk over Zoom with a couple other people. And then I told him, hey, I'm moving to Omaha. And he goes, oh, I'm in Omaha. We should have lunch. So I show up for lunch, and he sees my Masonic rings. And he goes, are you a Mason? Yeah. He goes, well, so am I. What lodge you from? Well, you know, come to find out he's a 33rd. You know, just astounding.
Mm-hmm.
In my lodge out here, one of the lodges out here, we've got a congressman.
And
then,
that's who he was referring to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then we got one of the sheriffs is in there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get any, like, you know, you're not getting out of tickets or anything.
No.
But
If anything, you may get the ticket because the sheriff knows that you know better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brothers first.
Yep.
Like, you know, like you said, you knew the guy for 2 years and didn't know he was a Mason.
Yep.
Or didn't know he was a congressman, sorry.
no, I didn't know he was a Mason.
Oh.
I knew he was a congressman, but I didn't know he was a Mason.
Oh.
And then eventually the guy who ran the economic think tank, we got him into Masonry because he discovered that we were both Masons, and so he joined my mother lodge back in Illinois.
Hell yeah.
I've met an immense amount of people. I mean, just sitting around the table listening to you and Sean talk about stuff on the railroad, I've learned more about the railroads than I'd ever would have been privy to. The same with the military.
Yeah.
You know, we got an immense amount of guys from all the different branches of the service. One of the guys in my mother lodge was assigned to the Pentagon as a paratrooper in a PSYOPs unit. Handed me one of his challenge coins, and on the back of it, it's got some indications of what the different kinds of psychological operations they would run were. And I'm like, oh, I recognize this. He's like, yeah, we don't talk about those. You know? But if I'm ever out in D.C. and I want to take a tour of something, I've got a guy I can call up and say, hey, you know, I'm out here and I got my kids with me, and can we get a tour of this? And we probably could figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
I've gone through the airport, and I was stuck waiting for a pat down, you know, through TSA, because I don't like going through those stupid scanners. And the guy comes up to me and he goes, he looks at the hat and he goes, "Are you a Mason?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Come with me." So I'm like, "That's it. I'm done. You know, I'm going to jail." So he asked me some questions about third degree, and I must have answered him properly because he was a grand lecturer from another grand jurisdiction.
Oh, awesome.
And he goes, "Okay, give me your hands," you know, and he wiped them, you know, checked them for, you know, the residue that they're always looking for. And he goes, "Okay, you know, see you later."
Yeah.
But I got to meet that guy. And somebody who never would have talked to you or indicated anything until he just happened to notice.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Is Jim and I would have never met. You and I would have never met. Just the amount of great men that you meet that become you build immense friendships, deep friendships.
Yeah, you learn something from everybody. And then, you know, the oath and obligation that we all take, I can trust my kids around you guys.
Yeah.
And, okay, maybe I've known you for 5 minutes, but we all went through the same oath and obligation, and until proven otherwise, you know, if I happen to be somewhere, hey, can you watch the kid for a minute? I got to go do, yeah, sure. I know the kid's going to be fine.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure there are a few knuckleheads somewhere, because there is everywhere. But, you know.
Well, and so that we're not putting rose-colored glasses on it. We are brothers, and if you've got a brother, you know there's things that you don't like about them. There's different personality conflicts. There's things like that. There's disagreements because people feel passionate about certain things, and we don't necessarily agree on things. So there is that going on too. We don't say that everything's beautiful, but at the end of the day, we're brothers, and we're going to stick together. We're going to figure out a way through it. So.
Well, I get the new guys, and they say, so, the Masons are like the high echelon of the improved, psyche. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, we all suffer from testosterone poisoning, dude. I go, people argue, stuff happens. Occasionally you have to go to separate corners of the room and figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that we're perfect. We're not. We're human beings. We strive for perfection. We're not always there, but we work it out a little better than the rest of the planet.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the first lessons we learn is that we start out on one side of not being anywhere near perfect, and we work towards that perfect. And the first thing that we have to realize is we're not perfect.
Yeah. I mean, things get political, not about like governmental politics, but political within Masonry even. Yeah. It happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, all it is a difference in opinions.
There's people that chase after titles, and I've got more titles than I know what to do with. I'm not in it for the title. I'm in it because I want to be able to help.
Yeah.
I want to help an organization grow that's a charity that funds things that make kids better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why I became a Shriner. Once you walk into the Shrine Hospital, it's what I call you're done. You're a Shriner forever. Once you see the good work that you're doing there. Same thing with Right Care for Children. These kids have a variety of maladies that involve their ability to speak and communicate and interact with people, and we take care of that for free so that they can be a productive adult, or at least have a chance at it.
Yeah.
You go over to the Monroe Meyer Institute and take a walk around there, and we fund about a quarter of what they do, but what they do is so amazing that you walk out of there and you're like, okay, I'm stunned again. And it's like walking into a Shrine Hospital.
Yeah.
Every component of Freemasonry has a charity associated with it. In a Northern Masonic jurisdiction, it was dyslexia. The Grotto, they do dental work for kids. Jobies have the hearing aids.
Yep.
The Knights Templar, if I remember right, do eyeglasses. Or they do eyes. We had at the Illinois Masonic Hospital, we would do dental work for brothers that couldn't afford it. So you'd get these guys in lodge, and you're like, you look at their teeth, and you're like, oh my God, you got to get that fixed. And well, I don't have the money for it. You don't need the money for it, brother. You need to go over to Illinois Masonic, and here, I'll give you the number.
Yeah.
We had some charities through Illinois Masonic outreach services, and we would regularly refer people to them. We had people that worked in the Grand Lodge office that just dealt with that. And so hey, I want to refer XYZ to you, and that's the end of it. Right. They take it from there, but they may have paid that guy's bills. They may have built him a ramp for his house, all kinds of things. One of the brothers I had in my district was in a horrible motorcycle accident. Remember Happy Days, the Malachi Crunch?
Yeah.
Two vehicles that slammed the third. He was the third in the middle between two trucks. Well, he was on a motorcycle and about lost his foot. And he and his wife, they didn't have enough money to deal with all of it. The insurance wasn't going to cover things. And I told them about IMOS and went and helped them with the paperwork. And they got the assistance they need, and he's out riding again. Wouldn't have been me, man. I'd have been like, nope, I'm done. But
yeah, I don't know. I'd probably ride too.
But he's out there getting the wind therapy, as it were.
Yep.
And we took care of a brother, and now we can't get him to stop raising money for us. One good turn deserves another.
Yeah.
So you listen to a meeting that's mind-numbingly boring reading about check number 1002 to the electric company for, that's not it.
Yeah.
100% not it.
Awesome. Hey, well, if you're listening, watching, you're not a member of the Scottish Rite, consider it.
You should be.
And if you're not a Mason and are looking at events, definitely check into the Scottish Rite. It's an amazing facility. It's I can't put into words the beauty of that place walking in every time.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty and the history. I've visited several Scottish Rites around the country, and I haven't seen an ugly one yet.
Yeah.
You can take a virtual tour on our website at scottishriteomaha.org, but you need to come see it in person.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it justice.
Are we doing the Visit Omaha thing this year? Is that what it's called?
Open Omaha,
Open
I think
Omaha.
it was. If their date doesn't conflict with something else we had going on, one time it didn't conflict, and I was the guy up in the lodge room motioning people to come in. Hey, yeah, you can come in here and take a look around,
Yeah.
And then one time it conflicted with another event that we had. Somebody was paying us, so we couldn't participate. And then occasionally it comes up during a reunion. We don't set the date for their event; they set it. So,
Right.
but we love to participate in that if we can.
Well, Dave, before we wrap up, do you have any shout-outs?
Shout outs. Yeah, John Maxwell down in Florida, the guy I took the job from.
Yeah.
He's down there with his lime tree, and he's sending us limes, and we wish him all the best.
Oh, I love John.
And then Right Worshipful Bobby Nielsen, Jr. He's the guy that was the area deputy grand master for the northeastern Masonic jurisdiction in Illinois. He was my boss when I was at DDGM.
Yeah.
One of the greatest guys to learn how to have a real light touch to deal with lodges. I learned so much from that guy, I'll never be able to repay it. And he was an industrial electrician for O'Hare Airport for God knows how many years. I think he's retired now.
Nice. What about you, Jim?
Well, I said it in Lodge the other night. I guess I'll say it online. Tyson, our senior warden, did an amazing job of leading the Master Mason degree last week. I do want to shout out to you guys for setting it up, but since you were busy with the move, he was there and took a leadership role and made sure that everything happened. So he did a great job with that.
Well, it's a good thing he did because it was kind of a mess on our end.
Yeah. That's the way life is sometimes. But I was really impressed with the way he stepped up. So I'm going to give him that credit.
What about you?
I'll shout out everybody that's been there for degrees, going to be there for degrees, and everybody that will be there for future degrees and whatnot. So,
All right. My shout out is going to Brother Micah Evans, no relation, who I'm going to miss greatly. We've become very good friends over the years. He is facilitating his wife chasing her dream now. He's had enough of his time. He's going to give her some time. So we're going to miss you, Micah. And when you're back in town, swing by for an episode. We'll film it on the spot. Or roundabout there, anyways.
Or we make a road trip
To Santa Fe?
Oh, I'd love Santa Fe.
I hear the weather's beautiful.
It depends on the time of year, but it's beautiful country.
We're not taking my truck. I only get like 18 miles a gallon, dude.
We could go and try to figure out what the source of the Tao's hum is.
Do a party bus.
Party bus.
Area 51. Never mind.
Well, the Tao's hum is the Area 51 of, New Mexico. Where's this weird hum coming from? And well, maybe it's the Freemasons.
Well, now that's a completely different episode.
Yep. All right. That wraps us up, I think.
yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you like our new studio. We like it.
Mm-hmm.
Hope the acoustics aren't bad. We haven't really listened to one back from here yet.
Sounds good through the mics.
Sounds good in the headphones.
Sounds good in my head.
It all
Voices
looks-
in your head again.
Dear most worshipful Grandmaster, none was more astonished than I. All right. Thanks for listening, watching. Until next time, travel well, brothers.
Oh, well.
See ya.